class of Levites that were called sophers. Sophers. Their whole job was to care for and clean and transport the sophs that were used in the tabernacle. When they picked up and moved the tabernacle, this priestly class of people called sophers, that was their job. That was their exclusive job, to care for those things.
So did they keep fresh blood in there at all times?
No. No, they're cleaned exquisitely, just like you see all of the cleaning laws in Torah, very, very meticulously.
So when would they put blood in them then? When they were expecting?
At times of sacrifice, but that's a question I can't answer definitively.
So didn't they do the sacrifices at the temple, and they would have sprinkled the blood there, but they wouldn't necessarily bring it home? That seems like it would be a ungodly thing for people to do.
Well, yeah. This area here, this ethereal area that is we might call it the doorway. It's above the soft, and it's in that whole area there is called a pethach. A pethach. And we're also told to guard the pethach of our mouth in Proverbs. Guard the pethach of our mouth. Why is that? If we're in covenant with another human, with another group of humans, or with the God of Israel, every word that comes out of our mouth, He cannot let fall to the ground. Let me say that again. Every word that comes out of our mouth, if we're in covenant with Him, He cannot let those words fall to the ground or come back void. That's why the Apostle Paul was just so adamant about how we speak, and don't use evil speech, because it's off the charts. The responsibility is unfathomable of the words that come out of our mouth, whether we're talking about a neighbor, we're talking about a brother or sister, or we're talking about an animal. Because Joshua went by that fig tree, and he cursed it without cursing it. He just said, no more figs will be grown on you. So they went into town, came back the next day or a few hours later, and the apostles were amazed. Master, look, the tree that you cursed is withered, and it specifies from the roots. So the curse began to work as soon as he spoke the words at the roots. And see? Nothing is written in Scripture out of complacency or just to fill up space. There is a reason why every word, not just in the Tanakh, in the Torah and the writings and the prophets, but also in the new writings. If you believe that the new writings were inspired by the Holy Spirit as well as the old, every word in there has significance, and you need to get back to the root of it to find out what that is. Because there are so many, like I said earlier, layers to the onion, and the understanding, the comprehension, once it begins to flow, and then you begin to ask for more understanding and more comprehension about this whole subject, things just get on a roller coaster is not the right term, a snowball. like a little snowball up at the top of a mountain, and then it starts rolling down. Woo, 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 woo. It gets huge, right? This is what it's like. And everything in your life will begin to change. From the hedge of protection that is in the blood covenant of Abraham, health and healing, your access to it, because you're being trained on how to access to it. It's already been done. See, I'm healed, past tense. Right now, I'm just fighting a battle with the enemy. This situation I've got right now is not him. It's not even me. It is an attack from the enemy that I must overcome and that he has already overcome. I just have to be patient and keep fighting it. Taylor?
So how can we apply the threshold blood covenant to our lives today, or is it still applicable, or how can we apply it?
Yeah. Your relationship to Ellie. Your relationship to Ellie. We won't even talk about her relationship to you. You begin understanding this. You, the husband, begin understanding this. I'm not excluding you. The way you treat Ellie will change. And it will change irrevocably. It will change. What's the word when you can't help it? It will change. And then how you treat her is going to affect directly how she treats you. And then when she understands this and it begins to be a mutual thing, it's off the charts. It's off the charts. And wealth and prosperity is part of the Abrahamic covenant. There are three legs: hedge of protection, health and healing, and wealth and prosperity. Look in Deuteronomy 28 under the blessings and cursings, and the blessings, the first few verses, are the only things that we're supposed to have. All the other stuff is for people outside of covenant, not us. If we find ourselves experiencing things out there in that cursed part, we need to begin operating and studying a little more on how to get into this. That's all. I shouldn't be flippant about it. It's not necessarily easy, but it's necessary, and it's very workable though. But what?
Oh, I was just gonna say, everybody's pretty familiar when, a man and a woman, they get married, and he's gonna carry her over the threshold. Okay, well, think about it. It's man's home. The man prepares the home. He carries his bride over his threshold into his home and his protection. He's gonna provide for her. He's gonna do everything for her. That's where that comes from.
Exactly.
It's a tradition.
Right,
But
and
that's the root.
I forgot to share that.
And,
Thank you. What?
And when Joshua saw that, he entered into their home. He didn't just, the death angel was not allowed to go in.
Right.
It passed over, but Joshua came in
Right.
and supped with them.
He passed over
The threshold.
the soft.
Yes.
That's why the definition in Strong's, it means to hop or skip over. It's not talking about the death angel hopping and skipping over all the houses of no, it's talking about this. And usually I start a talk about this subject, about if you get any part of this, your whole concept from this day forward, this night forward about Passover will be completely changed. And it should be, because it's not passing over the houses. It's passing over the threshold. That's why he said, I will pass over your door, I'll pass over you, and I'll pass over or step across your home. And he says, I will not allow the death angel access. Well, how's he doing that unless he's in your home? This is the symbol that kept the death angel out of the Israelites' home. That blood. The blood of the Lamb. The blood of the Lamb. The bridal threshold, that's a 3-hour teaching right there. But my daughter's correct though. The ancient wedding party, the new bridegroom would drop 10 silver coins in the new bride's lap while she sat in a chair, that the wedding entourage would then carry around celebrating her. And he would tell her when he dropped those coins in her lap, I go to prepare a place for you.
Wow.
He would go back to his father's home where he had already been building a new dwelling for him and his new wife. And the wedding party with a best man armed, the whole wedding party was armed. They would escort the bride to his front porch, help her dismount, and then he would pick her up. And it's no longer 2 sets of feet going across their new home threshold. It's 1 set of feet. He's picked her up because the 2 have become 1. Joshua said that about him and his father, did he not? I and my father are akkad. The same word. Same exact. It's all blood covenant. All of it. From the very first verse in Genesis 1 to the very last stuff in Revelation. Every single book has blood covenant all over it. It just drips out if you know what to look for and how to research it out. It just drips. 80% of the parables that Joshua shared were blood covenant related. 80% of those parables. Possibly 100%, but I just haven't caught them yet. But this is just a slight brushing, just a slight touching of so many rabbit trail subject matters that branch off of this. It's Taylor and Greg right here have volunteered to help me get some blood covenant YouTube stuff up and running. And it's our intention, is it not, guys? Uh-oh. Yes?
No, yeah.
Yes? Yes? Oh, you're doing that now?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, good deal.
I mean, it's not live.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
not live. But, you know, I shared this with you about the thumbs up. You know where that came from, the thumbs up? Many generations ago, 2 people that wanted to make blood covenant, they would cut their thumbs. They would intermingle their blood. The 2 lives became 1. They're intermingled, right? And then they would rub ash, fire ash in them to stain it black. It sticks out like a sore thumb. You've heard that, Greg? That is the remnant that has come down to us. That's what it means. When you show someone that you're a blood covenanter, they may not want to mess with you.
But what would the covenant be if it's that serious?
Whatever they determined.
Like land, they would do that?
It could, yeah, yes, yeah. Just one last thing. Good? When the two explorers, Stanley and Livingston, went to Africa, they both wrote memoirs about their experiences there. One of them, which stands out, is Stanley. I think it was Stanley. He and his group ran into this fierce, warlike tribe. And this tribe would not trade with them. They would steal their goods at night. They would do all this nefarious stuff, which was doing, Stanley's efforts to explore and go on great harm. His guide said, Mr. Stanley, why don't you make blood covenant with the chief? He said, well, what do I have to do? Well, you have to drip some of your blood and some of his blood in a cup of wine, and you mix it up, and he drinks half of it, and you drink half of it. And he said, no, I'm not doing that. This went on for another month, and he said, okay. One of the things about making blood covenant is there's always an exchange of gifts, not just exchange of names, but gifts. The chief wanted Stanley's goat. He had a stomach ulcer, and goat milk was the only thing that he could digest easily. So the chief gave him, as a gift, in exchange for his goat, a 7-foot-long spear that was wrapped in copper wire. He said, Stanley goes, what am I going to do with this? He soon found out. Everywhere he went for the next 10 or 20 years on the whole continent of Africa, whenever he displayed that 7-foot-long spear with copper wire around it, all those other tribes knew that he was in blood covenant with the fiercest tribe and chieftain on the continent, and they always cooperated with him and never did him harm. Okay, that is the same thing that we all have when we're in covenant with him. We cannot be harmed, but we have to speak it with our mouth, and we have to act like the warriors that he's pulled us out to be. Hallelujah. Well, I'm going to cut it short.